Hello and welcome to NextGenRadioWorldwide.com. This is the Next Gen Radio Show, and my name is Chuck Noonan. I'm the host and the founder of Next Gen Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, and I just wanted to say thanks for tuning in. We got a lot of neat things coming up for Next Gen. We're going to change the studio around a little bit. We're working on that. Hopefully in the next, I'd say, month or so. We'll have a new location. We're working on new graphics for the background thing. We're gonna have. We actually got a call-in number now, and we're trying to get our switchboard and everything lined up so we can start taking live calls. But I wanted to kind of let you guys know that we're really excited about moving Next Gen to the next level. It's really cool to know that that we have in this country, we have the freedom to just talk about things that are affecting each one of us, and it's not a situation to where we still live in a wonderful country that allows us to have allows us access to information. And it's all the stuff that's going on in the world, that those rights seems like they may be dwindling down a little bit. But right now we're gonna move forward, and we're gonna try to talk about the news that the news is not really talking about. They may tell you a story, but we're gonna look a little deeper and talk a little bit more about what's behind the scenes, and what they're not telling us about what's going on. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about some health news first. A really good story from the Daily Sheeple. Roundup weed killer feeds antibiotic resistant bacteria. And that's like, well, why is that a big story? Roundup, the glycophosphate that they use for weed killers on these big agri farms and everything. Why is it a big story if it feeds the antibiotic resistant bacteria? Well, it's a big story because if we get sick and we take antibiotics and we can't fight those germs off, then that's a big, huge problem. I mean, history shows you that the plague and all these other diseases that come out, if you can't treat those, I mean, millions of people could die. So it goes on to say that the glycophosphate is probably the herbicide that is discharged and is most discharged into the government. It is. I mean, it's not probably. It is the most. It's put on every single crop that's planted, pretty much. Even I had a garden. I've used this stuff before I found out how bad it was. But due to its extensive use in the protection of crops, it is inevitable that it will reach the surface, and deep waters, especially after rain falls. And what happened? If you go on, it talks about how the anaerobic plankton growth was superior to the anaerobic one, and how that's all changing now. Now a ubiquitous agrochemical contaminant found in our rain, our air, and our water, this glycophosphate, continues to accumulate in larger and larger amounts in the environment. Concern grows that it may be upsetting our natural microbial balance upon which our microbial health depends on. See, everything that grows in nature, including animals and plants, everything that's alive needs these microorganisms to thrive. I mean, we all have microorganisms in us that are healthy and that are beneficial. Not every microorganism is bad. Actually, most of them are good. But if the bad ones are becoming resistant to antibiotics due to Roundup, then that could be a really big problem. There's a story, EPA to the public. It says learn more by reading EPA to the public. Let them eat Monsanto's Roundup Ready cake. Then there's a global GMO free coalition or whatever. Really good story. We really need to do everything we can to get our vegetables. I'm telling you, we are feeding the world, but the world is rejecting our food. The corn that's being shipped to China is being sent back because it's GMO corn, and same thing with Russia. They're sending it back. They don't want us to. They don't like our food. It's GMO, and it's very dangerous to be planting this stuff around. Here's another good story. Actually, it's not a good story. It's a very sad story, but I wanted you need to hear this. It's 1 in 2 children will have autism by 2025, warns a senior MIT scientist. This isn't just me saying it. This is a senior MIT scientist. It's talking about how here's the word glyphosate also suppresses specific amino acids that represent up to 35% of the plant's dry mass, effective in killing pathway to the bacteria. But anyway, with the glycophosphates and the drugs that they're putting in there, that it's in the water. Monsanto claims that Roundup is harmless to humans, bacteria, fungi, and algae, parasites, and plants use a 7-step process route or whatever. But anyway, this is another one of Monsanto's lies. But now, this is a good story because if the MIT scientists, you can't, they can suppress this. And they have suppressed it because that's why it's in the Daily Sheeple and not in, MSNBC, CBS, or ABC News. But it is getting out. The story about how evil Monsanto is, they want us to eat GMOs. They want us to eat glyphosate. But if you go to the Monsanto headquarters, I think it's in Iowa or something like that, or Nebraska. I don't know where it's at. But anyway, when you go to their cafeteria, it's all organic. They don't even eat their own genetically modified foods or whatever. So look it up and you'll see what I'm talking about. Another thing that's important, it's a good story, but it's also a sad story. Toxic profits of shrimp farming and tin mining. This comes from Mercola.com, and I had no idea that this was going on. I kind of heard stuff, but they're doing some studies on it now, and they're bringing this stuff to our attention, which is good. This is, like I said, Next Gen Radio. We are all about this generation and the next generation making the world a better place, and we really need to grab a hold of these topics and these issues, and quit using the glycophosphates and quit putting the mercury in the vaccines, because vaccine technology is good, but the stuff they're putting in it's not good. But anyway, I'm sorry, I kind of digressed into something else there, but this shrimp farming story talks about, here I'm going to read some of this to you. Carnivorous sea animals such as prawns need fish in their diet. Since overfishing has led to declining fish stocks, much of the needed protein is sourced from a so-called trash fish collected by trawlers off the coast of Southeast Asia. Fish that are too small to be edible are indiscriminately caught in the bottom-dragging trawling nets and are left to rot in the holds of the vessels for days and weeks on end, according to investigators. The rotting fish is then sold and transported to processing plants where they're washed, cooked, and ground into fish meal. Even rare shark species, sponges, starfish, octopi end up as fish feed in these processes. Catching small, immature fish reduces fish stocks. Bigger fish are also left with suitable food sources. The end result is a rapidly decreasing fish stock, fish stocks for human consumption. In short, the entire balance in nature is being destroyed. And it's not, I mean, it is destroying the generational cycles of fish, but it's also destroying the people that are in these areas. The writer here says, I would like to tell the consumers that the shrimp are produced by harassing poor people. It says by sucking their blood and looting their resources, by taking away their land from them to produce shrimp. We'd like to request that consumers do not touch the shrimp. Okay, now we all like shrimp. We all like cheap shrimp prices and everything, but there is a way to get around. It says tells you how to get around. You can tell if your seafood is sustainably sourced. I don't think anybody wants to take part in buying any kind of fish or any kind of product that's hurting somebody else. And we don't need to live like that. We can operate in a way that would be good if there wasn't so much greed and people weren't trying to just take advantage of people. But it says, how can you tell if your seafood is sustainably sourced? Under the U.S. federal country of origin labeling law, known as COOL, fresh seafood must disclose where the food was farmed or caught. However, this rule does not apply to processed foods, including seafood that is boiled, breaded, added to packaged meals, and nearly half of all the shrimp sold to the U.S. are processed and therefore do not bear the origin labels. Restaurants are also exempt from labeling requirement. Then it goes on where it came from. But I believe it would be wise to avoid all farmed seafood, both fish and shrimp, for a number of reasons, even if it doesn't come from impoverished areas where people are abused during the course of production, like Bangladesh aqua farms. Aqua farms are an environmental disaster, and farmed seafood is inferior from the quality standpoint as well. And it goes on, talks about you can look for products certified by the Marine Stewardship Council. That's all well and good, but the best thing to remember when you're buying seafood is just to buy the wild caught seafood. And here it says the best options that are sustainable are wild Alaskan and sockeye salmon. So these are sustainable sources of food. I mean, you can buy salmon in all of the United States, all around the world, because it's sustainable. It just keeps replicating. It's not overfished. It's a process, and we just try to remember that when you're buying something, don't buy farmed fish. Buy fresh caught fish. Okay, moving on to the next one. A lot of Monsanto in this one. This is from Natural News. Man-made wetlands can reduce agricultural fertilizer pollution by up to 50%. This goes on to talk about how the water quality is getting worse and worse, and how it's very dangerous to human health, and what we can do to fix the problem. This isn't one of those things. We need to do this. We need to make sure that if we can produce some man-made wetlands, instead of putting in another parking lot somewhere, why can't we just make a man-made wetlands and help the environment, help us to get healthier, help people to be less prone to have autism, and to make sure that our antibiotics that we need are not going to become drug resistant. So Monsanto, thanks a lot. I mean, Monsanto is this company And I've tried to call them. I know several people have tried to call. They don't answer their phone. They don't call you back. They could care less, to be honest with you, about what they do to you. They're just a big company that's trying to make a lot of money, and I don't have a problem with people making money, but don't make our kids sick. Don't make us sick. Don't try to destroy the world just to make a buck. It's not sustainable to you, and it's not sustainable to the Monsanto people that work there and to their families. It's not a good situation. They're an evil company. Let's just put it like that. That's a nice way of saying it. They're just they're a terrible company, to be honest with you. And what they're doing to farmers that's another whole story. Okay, moving on. The 2015, the dangers ahead. This is coming from storm clouds gathering. The Ukraine war is on here. That could very easily, kick off the World War III. And it seems like we're already in World War III. I mean, the whole world is fighting with each other. Another big thing in 2015 is says the oil price squeeze. The Saudis are really putting a squeeze on the Russian government and the American companies that are trying to get the shale oil. But the good thing about it is that our gas prices are coming down, which is positive. But I don't think you want to mess with Vladimir Putin too much. He doesn't seem like it would bother him too much to go to do a nuclear war. The Syrian war. There were 76,000 people killed in Syria last year. 76,000 people. They got a hold of 88 pounds of uranium, and they have everything they need to. ISIS announced that they have everything they need to build these dirty bombs. Syrian war. That's a bad thing that we got to look. It's just terrible. We can fix that. We're going to talk a little bit more about these radical Islamists here in a minute. Ebola. They quit talking about Ebola, but it really hasn't gone away. There's been 800 aid workers that's been infected. 500 of them have died. We'll see what happens here. But anyway, Ebola is a kind of a worry thing. Racial tensions in the U.S. You can thank your president of the United States for this. Your attorney general. There is no. I can't believe that we're talking about race in this country. We have a black president. We have a black attorney general, and we have. There is no racism in this country against black people. We have the highest levels of office, Attorney General, President of the United States, President of colleges, Presidents of corporations, generals in the military, every level of government, private, and government sectors, we have African American people. There is no racism. The only racism that they're talking about here is all man-made. It's all man-made. It's all designed to pit, black people against white people or white people against black people. Same thing with the Mexican and the if you're not in the white club, then you can't get in. If you're not in the black club, you can't get in. If you're not in the Mexican, Spanish speaking, well, I don't even know. I don't even know what to call people anymore. Are they Mexican? Are they Spanish American? Are they African? Are they African American? Are they black? Are they brown? Are they, everything's so politically correct. It makes me sick. and it's ridiculous, man. I mean, if we were all working together on the same goals instead of trying to fight each other all the time. But see, if we all work together, we wouldn't need this big government over us with their big tanks and guns trying to control us all the time. But anyway, there's a lot of dangers ahead for 2015. We can either go along with the status quo and just let them make all the decisions for us. That's what's put us in the situation. Or we can do something about it, and I think that everybody needs to be held responsible. I'm trying my best to, I'm not a journalist. I didn't go to school for journalism. I'm a normal guy. I have a family. I have a wife. I have kids. I have parents. And I am concerned about the future of our country. And I think that we all need to work together to make a difference, and that's what this show is all about. We're going to talk about ways to fix a lot of these problems, and to call these people out when they start making boneheaded decisions. All right, here's another story: why the alleged Boston marathoner bomber probably won't get the death penalty. This is from the Washington Post, kind of buried in a very small article. Well, I'll tell you why he probably won't get the death penalty, because he's got lawyers, and it's pretty obvious from everything I know that the guy didn't do it, and they're going to get him off because he didn't do it. It wasn't him to do it. If you go back and watch the videos, and I think they're still up, you can see him, the Zarnoff brothers, running away with their 2 backpacks on. They got their backpacks, and they said from the get-go that these kids put their backpacks there, and that's what blew up the thing or whatever. But and then it come out that these kids were CIA, that they had been they had been to Russia, and they'd done this and that with the CIA. So it's just a bunch of bull. Don't believe that the Zarnoff brothers were the ones who did this Boston marathon bombing. I don't believe it for a second. And it makes it sound like why the bomber will probably won't get the death penalty. Well, he's probably won't get the death penalty, and he'll probably be out of jail in 10 years or so, because they don't have any proof against the guy, but they put him in. He was a patsy for that whole thing. I really do believe that. Okay, now we're going to get into this whole Paris thing that's going on. We have the White House to hold a global summit February 18th. What is this guy? Global summit. Everybody's there. All the world leaders are there right now. Thousands and thousands of people in Paris marching. All the world leaders are there, but not Obama. He's probably on vacation in Hawaii somewhere. These terrorists, they went in and they killed 17 people. And it's a travesty. I mean, we have freedom of speech in this country, and I'm a Christian, and if somebody gets in a paper and starts talking bad about Jesus, or making funny cartoons about him, I don't think any Christian is going to go to that paper and start killing people. I mean, we believe that you have your own right to your own thoughts, and we have freedom of speech, and you can do that. Now, I'm not going to agree with that, but I'm not going to. I don't think that Christians or Jewish people or even Hindus or Buddhists are gonna start killing people if you disagree with them, or if you make a joke about their deity, but not radical Islam, not Muslims. A White House statement on violent extremism omits Islam. See, they don't even want to say it has anything to do with Islam, when it has everything to do with Islam. It has everything to do, I know there's just a small percentage of the Muslims that are radical extremists that are around killing people. But why aren't all the millions and millions of, it's like 20% of the world population is Muslim. But where are the Muslim leaders that are crying out and speaking out against these travesties, when these people, these animals, they're not even human beings, they're animals, they're actually worse than animals. I mean, they chop the heads off of babies, and they rape women, and they just torture people, and they hold people as slaves. They trade little girls for sex slaves amongst each other. This is what Islam is. This is what being a Muslim is. The so-called Prophet Muhammad was a child rapist, married a 9-year-old girl, chopped heads off of people. It says right there in the Quran, kill the Jew and the Christian where they stand. But you have these imams, whatever an imam is, I guess it's like a preacher or something for hate, up there saying, oh, well, that was written, back in when the Prophet Muhammad was in Mecca, but when he, but when he moved to Medina, all that was abrogated or whatever. And it's like, now so they're wanting you to read the old stuff, because it says the old writings of Muhammad. And you can look into this, and I meant to I have the Quran, and I've read it, and I've got these passages, and I was going to bring that in here, and I will do that next Sunday. I may actually write a paper about this, and categorize it all out, because it says, the Prophet Muhammad, when he was in Mecca, when his uncle was like the mayor of the city or whatever, the Jews and the Christians and everybody lived together in peace and harmony, and there was no the pagans or the Muslims. They all lived together. There was no issues. And then all of a sudden, I guess Muhammad's uncle got killed or something, and Muhammad ran to Mecca, and then he changed his tune. After writing that, oh yeah, Christians are our friends and Muslims are our friends, when he went to Medina, that he rewrote stuff in these series, and it said, we should kill the Christians, and we should, take their heads off, and we could chop their feet, their hands off, and we should chop their feet off, and we should, rape their women, and, you need to beat your wife. And these are rules. These are Islamic rules that people are, having to follow if they consider themselves a Muslim. So why is it that the Muslim people don't speak out when this stuff's happening? Because I think I can tell you why. It's because it's in their Bible, it's in the Quran, it's in their book that all these things are okay. It's okay to kill people. It's okay to rape little girls. It's all right to chop off the heads off of babies. It's all right to do these things, and it makes me sick. And I hope that, and then you have people like Howard Dean. You have people, I heard him on the news talking about that, these radical hotties or whatever were no more Muslim than he was. Well, that's bull, man, because they are, and they do claim alliance with Islam, and when they're sitting there shooting people in the head that are screaming, for their lives, and they're screaming Allahu Akbar or whatever it is, this is for the Prophet Muhammad or whatever it is, for disgracing the Prophet Muhammad. They're a religious type of people, but Muslims are religious people, and they have their own way of praying to God and stuff like that. But Islam is not a religion. Islam is more of a government, how to control people. and that's what they do is they want Sharia law. And if you ask these imams, they said the problem with these jihadists in all these different countries, like in France, and they said this. I read the story, I think it was in the Drudge Report, where it says this imam was like, well, the problem is that if they had Sharia law in France, this wouldn't have happened. Yeah, if they had, tell me this, anywhere in the world that they have Sharia law, anywhere in the world, what good comes out of it? I mean, they don't invent things. They don't make life better. They don't have this big infrastructure. I mean, it's not like they build these grand cities. It's not like they're all welcoming for outsiders to come in. The women can't go to school. The women can't even wear clothes. They have to wear this big sack over their whole body, and they may have a little slit for their eyes to look out. But then they can have, multiple wives. They can rape children. This is Sharia law, and so they're saying this would not have happened if they had had Sharia law in France. That's just bull. If our president really wanted to do something about this, he's going to have a conference or something in February about this. Nothing is going to happen at this conference. He is not going to say anything in this conference to fix this story. But you ask our military leaders, they could, within 100 hours, if they worked, if they just started at midnight tonight, bam, in 4 days, there would not be any more radical Islamic people. There would not be any more beheadings. There would not be any more child rapists. There would not be any more people, killing raping Christian women, chopping the heads off of Christian men. All that would be done in just a matter of hours if we could pull the trigger on it. But that's not going to happen under this president. He is, he was, I don't know where it was, but I heard it on the Michael Savage show where Obama was sitting there saying, we cannot let people talk bad about the Prophet Muhammad or something like that, which is bull. I mean, they can talk bad about, Jews and they can talk bad about, Jesus. They can talk bad about, Buddha. They can talk bad about all this other stuff. But no, you can't say anything bad about Muhammad. And, it's pretty sickening. White House used a statement on violent extremism, but doesn't talk about Islam. Of course he's not going to talk about Islam, because Islam is the problem. And they don't want us to know, they want us to think that, oh, it's Al-Qaeda. Oh, it's ISIS. Oh, it's ISIL. Oh, it's radical jihadis. Oh, it's the Sunnis. Oh, it's, whatever. They keep, that's just to confuse you. But what it is, it's Al-Qaeda. It's the original Al-Qaeda that just keeps branching off and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's who we funded. I mean, it's all going to come out. And I'm not the first one that said it. It's all going to come out. The Benghazi thing was a big scam, and all those weapons that are missing. Now we got planes flying out of the air. We have all these Stinger missiles thousands of Stinger missiles are missing, and now we have planes that are just falling out of the air, and nobody knows why. It's all going to come out, and when it comes out, then maybe something will be done. But right now, when we have this Muslim president in office that went to madrasa, went to Kenya, that studied the Quran, that studied this stuff, he claims to be a Christian, but he went to Reverend Wright's Christian church for like 20 years, and then when he got to be the president, he hasn't been to church since, I don't think. And if you listen to Reverend Wright's preaching about America, I mean, he is a hater of America and a hater of the way things are in America. Just pull up some of his preachings, and this is what Obama got to listen to for 20 years. Even Netanyahu went to Paris. The gunman appears in a chilling video, declares loyalty to Islamic State. Islamic State is Islam. Islam State. The brothers had weapon training in Yemen. The Afghanistan rally hails Charlie attackers as heroes. See, who's speaking out against it in the Muslim community? Nobody. They think that these attackers are heroes. Diane Frankenstein said sleeper cells are in the U.S. Well, I wonder why. Maybe because the borders are open and nobody's stopping them from coming in. They're finding the prayer rugs, they're finding the Qurans, they're finding all this stuff in the desert as these Islamic extremists are coming across the border. Let's see. It's just, and then you have the Pope talking about global warming and about how he's a politician now. He's not a religious person. He's more of a politician now. But he hasn't said anything. He hasn't called out anything about this. He hasn't called out what it is. I mean, I don't understand it. And why do you go to our church on Sundays? Why aren't the pastors saying anything about it? Why don't you hear your preachers talking about this stuff? Well, that's right. They're 501c3s, and they're not allowed to discuss political events with the people that go to church there. I see. Well, somebody needs to call it out what it is. And there's a couple websites that you can go to find out about how evil this Islam is. And these are from, Walid Shoebat. Search Walid Shoebat, Shoebat. He was raised a Muslim, and he grew up in studying the Quran, and he knows the Quran, and he knows all about Islam and everything about it. But now he's a Christian, and he can tell you, he'll let you know exactly the truth about what they're teaching children and stuff. And there's another website. It's called oh man, I can't think of it right now, but I'm going to put that onto the website. Anyway, there's a Quran that you can buy and you can get that's got actually the passages in English about what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to rape women, how they're supposed to beat their wives, how they're supposed to how it's okay to marry a 9-year-old girl, however, all this stuff. It's just wicked, and people need to understand this. I've studied it, and I think everybody needs to be, I know I know what's really important is the Super Bowl. I mean, that's what we all want to talk about. College basketball, sports. We want to talk about all these other things, but those other things are those are distractions to what's really going on in the world. So we need to try to wake up and educate ourselves about what's going on in the world, and we need to try to get healthier. We need to quit eating the GMOs, quit drinking the fluoride that they're putting in the water systems. We need to try to, eat better, and cancer rates continue to go higher and higher and higher. Autism rates continue to go higher and higher, and we need to, maybe turn off the TV and tune in a little bit to what's really how things are really affecting us, the politics and the health issues that are going on in the world. But we're it's not all negative. I mean, there's some really good things happening, and I think that it's our turn. I mean, the world is in the shape it's in now because of because of the people behind us, our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents. I don't think it's our great grandparents. Our great grandparents were just trying to survive, but the last couple generations have put us in a situation to where, you know, we have all these resources now. We have the internet. We have access. We have technology. We have technology to see that people will have clean drinking water, and to have nutritious food, and to have, you know, power. I mean, if you go to nextgenradioworldwide.com, you'll see the little parody, Mr. Fusion, free energy for everyone. I know that is a you know, people think that, I know that energy is not free, but really with the thorium technology and thorium reactors, it would be so super cheap. It would be pennies on the dollar compared to what we're paying for power now. But they don't want us to have thorium energy. They don't want us to have energy that's free. They want us to pay for it, and they want us to pay a lot for it. And they want us to pay so much for it. They want to tax us on it so that we will not use energy, that we will try to find ways not to use energy. But it's not right. We have access to energy, and God created this whole world for us. Even if you don't believe in God, this world is here, and it is full of life, and it is a miraculous thing. This ball of earth, going thousands of miles through space, but within this earth, we have everything that we need to feed billions of people good food, to house billions of people, to have billions and billions of people, you know, clean water and power. And that's what Next Gen Radio is all about. Is how can we make that happen? What do we need to do? You know, how do we hold these countries accountable that's not building the infrastructures for their people? How do we do that? What do we do to make the world a better place? You know, you can tell me what you think. You can go to nextgenradioworldwide.com, or you know, and leave comments. You can you know, go to our Facebook site. You can go to our YouTube channel. You know, I want you to try to get the word out, and to talk to people about some of the stories that we're talking about here. We're going to have it set up to where you can download the MP3 file, and you can listen to it in your car without the video. I'm doing everything I can. You know, that's why, you know, I'm not really a radio guy. I'm definitely not a news person. I try to get the information to you guys, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work very hard to. I'm not going to stop. We're going to continue talking about these things, and I want it to be accessible in every form of media. And as you can see, we don't do any kind of advertising or anything. We're not trying to sell anything. We're just trying to get the word out. And we're going to have you're going to be able to download the MP3 of the show. You're going to be able to go to YouTube and watch it, Ustream, Facebook, Twitter, everything we can to get the word out, because this is very important to all of us. Everything that's happening here, and I'm doing my best to get it out. Please pass on the word to everybody else, and get the word out. Talk to them. Share the website with them. Email me at news@nextgenradioworldwide.com, or if you have a show tip or any kind of news story that you want on the site, show tips at nextgenradioworldwide.com. But thank you so much for tuning in and putting up with me. I think the show will get better. Right now it's just me and you know, the screen in the back that's trying to get people to understand, you know, just so you'll know it's Next Gen Radio, but our producer Jacob is doing a great job, and he's getting the new format down, and we're going to have a scrolling thing. We're going to have a number People can call in. We're going to have a switchboard, and we can discuss some of these issues. But thank you very much for tuning in. I will hope to see you guys next week. Have a great week, and we'll see you then.